Come on in. It's the Sports Parlor Podcast, brought to you by betJACK.com. And now, please welcome the guys who know it all, Phil Taylor and Nick Pedone.
Welcome on into the Sports Parlor Podcast presented by betJACK.com. I'm your host, Nick Pedone, joined by 2011 Cleveland Browns first-round pick, Phil Taylor. Phil, welcome back into the Sports Parlor. How you doing?
Good, man. Just chilling. Chilling.
We got an exciting episode for everybody this week. Obviously, as always, it's a crazy week in Ohio football. College football rankings are set. The Browns are back off their bye week. The Cincinnati Bengals got to get right, but more important, we got to make all of our picks. But more importantly for us, the one and only Josh Cribbs joins the program. So you're going to want to hang out until the end of Phil's Facts segment. We'll have Josh Cribbs in studio with us. It'll be cool to talk to him about his time playing, his thoughts on this team, and everything in between. That'll be a good time.
Cool.
Well, let's kick things off because what a week it was for Ohio football. The Browns coming off their bye week, they got to get right. College football playoff revealed. We got Bama, Michigan, Cincinnati sneaks in at 4, and Georgia is in there as well.
Some of that SEC up out of there. Some of that SEC up out of there.
The Bengals lost big to the Chargers. We'll talk about that in our pick segment, and I am still close. Records now 96, 62, and 1 for Phil Taylor, and 94, 64, and 1 for myself. So I'm 2 games back in our weekly pick segment. Got to keep picking underdogs. We're going to make that happen. But first, we're going to throw this right away to Phil's Facts. Let's talk some college football.
College football rankings. We got Bama, Michigan, Georgia, Cincy. What you thinking?
I thought that was fair. I really did. You know, sometimes, especially living in Ohio, you see all the negativity about all the SEC. You know, everybody wants Ohio State in there. Listen, Ohio State had their chance. That's the school of thought that I come from. You lost to your rival in the last week of the season. You win that game, you're in. But you lost it, and you're out, and you're on the sideline this year. Be in the Rose Bowl. There's nothing wrong with that. Play the Utah Utes. But I thought the committee got it right. And we've given the committee grief. You know, we were texting this weekend about that dorky video of them all like watching it in a room together.
Photo op.
On a TV for a photo op. That was kind of strange. But yeah, I thought they got it right. I have no complaints with how this ended up.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. I just think it should be different conferences. I know the SEC is good and they're going to always have people, but I feel like when you get a loss or something like that, it should really hurt if they're going to do it that way, whereas Ohio State didn't make it in because they lost a game against Michigan. If any game they're going to lose is against a freaking rival game, right, even though it was Michigan, you know what I mean? So that was a tough loss for them, but they take into factor how they lost. It was a bad loss for them, so yeah. But I'm pulling for Cincy, man. I hope they go in there and, upset some people, man, depending on who they got first.
Yeah, so Cincinnati has Alabama first. It's a 1 versus the 4. Alabama opened up in this game as a 13.5-point betting favorite. So Vegas showing a lot of love to Bama. For me, it's pretty simple. And I'm pulling for Cincy, too. Obviously, it's the Ohio team. I love pulling for the smaller school regardless that hasn't been there yet. It's Nick Saban. You know what I mean? Like, I have such a hard time picking against the dude. And at the beginning of the season, coming into this college football year, it was like it was going to be Alabama and then everybody else. And then they couldn't get out of their own way early. Then it seemed like it was Georgia and everybody else. And then Bama just blows the doors off of Georgia in the SEC championship game. So now I'm back to the same school of thought that it's probably Alabama's year and everybody else is playing for second.
Yeah, just like you said, Bama blew the doors off of Georgia in the SEC championship. How is Georgia still in where Ohio State lost? They was out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that favoritism in the SEC for you right there.
It's definitely weird, and we'll have to see how it shakes out. Obviously, now we got a couple weeks of sitting around and waiting until these games actually kick off. So we'll give you guys our picks for that since there will only be a couple more college football games left this year. The Heisman race is also narrowed down. Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, Aiden Hutchinson, the Michigan DN that really balled out down the stretch, and Kenny Pickett, the quarterback from Pittsburgh. I know you had a thing or two to say about Mr. Pickett down there in Pittsburgh.
Man, it was a great move. That little hezzy, fake slide, great move. But when does it? I don't know, because as a defender, it's tough because now, okay, he doing fake slides. I got to slow down. I only got not even a second to think. You know what I mean? So, dude's gonna ring his clock next time he do that. You know what I'm saying? Targeting penalty or not, they're gonna ring his clock, and then after that, they're gonna have to make a decision. If you faking, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to either say, if you faking a slide, you can get hit, or when QB's running downfield like that, they live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They live because it puts a strain on the defense. It makes the defense, the defenders, they can't play 100% because now you got to think: is he gonna slide? Is he gonna fake it? You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I mean, all kudos to him. Great move. Never seen it before. Keep doing it if it works, but shit gonna come with that. You know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta get it right.
Well, I'm curious to see what happens with that because now we know like. It's the copycat effect, right? Like everybody tried doing the Patrick Mahomes, sidearm. We saw every offensive coordinator under the sun had a goal line package for their quarterback to do a sidearm. I think it's going to be the same thing with this is they saw that he got away with it. So maybe it's like, keep trying it, keep going. I think someone probably should step in and kind of make these lines concrete. Like you said, if you're going to slide, you're live. Like if unless your rear end is on the ground, you can get hit because these defenders don't know whether to blast you or whether to pull off.
And if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm gonna tell my kid, hey, I got you. If you get a penalty, I got you. Don't slow up on this guy. If he's gonna be doing this fake slide stuff, hit his ass. If you get a penalty or targeting, I got you. It's on me. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. I definitely don't think the poor kid's going to win the Heisman. It was a hell of a move, and it's nice that, Pitt, which is, again, another smaller school, has some representation there. It seems like the betting favorite is Bryce Young, just because he's a quarterback from Alabama, SEC favoritism. But what a year for C.J. Stroud. I thought he had a nice little...
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We got to show him some love. I thought he had a nice little Heisman moment in that first half against Michigan State where he kind of balled out and scored a zillion points in the first half. That game was over. So nothing wrong with runner-up in that award, especially when you're an underclassman, and who's to say Stroud can't come back win it next year?
You never know. Yeah, he got, 2 years left?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, he's young, man. Ohio State, they've been, a little inconsistent this year, but not necessarily. It's just everybody looks at, they supposed to blow this team out. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You get the W, You learn from it, move on to the next.
Yeah.
But I think, man, he got 2 more years, man. I think he can definitely get it in the next year. So.
Yeah, I think so too, especially because some of that pressure is off of him. I don't know how closely you follow Quinn Ewers. So 17, 18-year-old kid from Texas was supposed to be in his senior year of high school this year, but went to Ohio State early to sign the name, image, likeness deal. I think got like $3 million from various companies to play college football at Ohio State. He's out. He's back to Texas. So that pressure is kind of off. They were calling this kid like the next Andrew Luck, the next Peyton Manning. Like as far as high school rankings go, he was up there. Like he was.
So he's not at Ohio State.
He's he's in the transfer portal, so he's
okay. So he's leaving. Okay.
Yeah, and he wants to go back to Texas. So that pressure's off. CJ
came up there, got that money, and got up out of there.
Yeah, that's part of it now with NIL.
Yeah, hey, more power to them, man. They should have been paying these kids. These institutions making all these millions and billions of dollars off of these kids, while these kids sitting in old ass dorm rooms eating freaking ramen noodles. You know what I'm saying? Scraping up, money to eat ramen noodles every night. Man, it's crazy, man. I've been there. You know what I mean? Like some of these prestigious ass schools barely give these athletes enough to survive, especially the ones that don't live on campus. You know what I mean? And some guys got families already in college, so it's like
good point.
It's tough.
Yeah, especially for the guys that have families. And now in this new age of social media, it just made so much sense to let them capitalize. Like, what's the harm in a kid putting an Instagram story up for some brand that's going to send him free food? Maybe that's all he has to do for food.
Because the institution ain't getting a piece of it.
And that's greedy. That's a conversation for another day.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We can
go on and on.
Yeah, we could do a whole show about that. But they're slowly starting to get that right. And Quinn Ewers, I hope he, finds success down there in Texas. No hard feelings here. And C.J. Stroud going to win the Heisman, though, in the next couple of years. So
We're going to see.
Keep balling, Quinn. All right,
Fact
second
number
fact.
2. If I had an NFL MVP vote, I'd probably say right now it'd have to be TB12.
Tom Brady.
It'll have to be TB12 right now.
Now, let me ask you this. So are you just voting for Tom because he plays the quarterback position, or you think Tom is actually the most valuable player on his team? Because I look at the Bucs, they got a lot of weapons. I know that's like such a tiresome statement. We hear it be thrown around all the time, but Mike Evans, legitimate first-round pick. Chris Godwin, a guy that's going to probably get a bag this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Gronk, Cameron Brate, even the goofy tight end, that offensive line. If I had an MVP vote, I'm giving it to John Taylor out there in Indianapolis.
Jonathan Taylor, yeah.
Look at what he's working with. I mean, he has the same caliber offensive line as Tom Brady, but his quarterback's Carson Wentz. We've talked about this before. He's the definition of inconsistent. You don't know who's going to show up which week.
And that hurts. Even though he's quarterback, that hurts Taylor's chances for MVP as well, because they factor in wins, you know what I'm saying, the team competition, all that stuff. So I felt as though I picked TB12 because he's the only person I feel like he changed teams, won a Super Bowl. He's 43, 44 plus, and still, you know what I'm saying, playing at a high level. You know what I'm saying? He doing what he can do. He ain't doing too much, and he got a perfect fit. He's been on a team where he actually has weapons.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man. And I think in the NFC, only people I think can really defensively stop Tampa Bay, if they can do better, is the Rams.
Yeah, man. I'm curious to see how it shakes, and I'm curious. Whatever way that this goes, right, when this MVP voting comes down in a couple weeks, it's not going to be unanimous. This is not going to be a Steph Curry kind of thing. Like, Jonathan Taylor is going to get some votes. I truly do believe. And I think he deserves it, because what would the Colts be without Jonathan Taylor? I don't know the answer to that. Probably not very good. What would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be with even an average quarterback? What would the Tampa Bay Buccaneers be with Baker? They'd probably be all right, man, with Mike Evans and Godwin, Leonard Fournette, that O-line, Bruce Arians as your head coach, that defense. They'd probably be all right. Where Jonathan Taylor, I think he's out there.
So what you're saying is Baker is not too far from Tom Brady's level, huh?
No, I'm not saying that.
What you mean?
I'm just saying that if you put Baker or any average quarterback, is called for what Baker's average at best right now, and you put him in that
So you're
system,
trying to say, well, they got weapons, so any average quarterback can do okay in that offense.
I mean, Jameis did all right. He threw 30 picks, but that was before he had LASIK eye surgery. He also threw 30 touchdowns, and that was pretty impressive. So, yeah, I think, at least for me, and I think a little bit of my vote for Jonathan Taylor just comes down to, in basketball, like the LeBron effect. There's a reason why LeBron only has a handful of MVPs and he's in year 18. It's just because you can't give it to the same dude every year. You could give it to Tom every year. He's the best player on the planet right now at that position. But I like what Jonathan Taylor does for those Colts. I really think that they would be in a world of hurt without him. And earlier in the year, they weren't even using him that much.
At all. I mean, yeah. I think it'll be definitely those two are top 2 to 3.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean?
For sure. I think one of the two of them are going to walk away with it. Truly.
I think so too.
Especially after like the performance that Josh Allen put on in primetime Monday Night Football. Like, come on, can't really give that guy the MVP anymore. Aaron Rodgers is always good, but he hasn't had the kind of season, to your point, that Tom Brady has had. And then Patrick Mahomes, he just kind of won recently. I feel like it's going to be Tom, definitely. But if I had a vote, I'm voting for John Taylor.
Cool.
Well, that's Phil's Fact segment. We'll keep it short. We'll keep it sweet. All right, we're welcoming in very special guest, Cleveland Browns legend, one of my favorite players of all time, Josh Cribbs. Josh, welcome on into the Sports Parlor. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on finally. I'm glad to be here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a big week. I mean, our Browns are trying to get straight. We got Phil and I go against each other on the show every week in our weekly picks.
Yeah.
I'm 2 games back, so I got to get myself right. Phil Phil knows how to pick them, man. I'll tell you that.
Phil know how to pick them?
He does.
So I've been calling the wrong people then. I should have been calling Phil.
Yeah,
man.
he'll tell you what's up.
We'll see. I don't know too much, but nah, man, I appreciate you coming though for
Yeah,
sure,
man.
We take it way back, man, all the way to where we from. But let's go back. Last season, Browns versus Steelers in the playoffs last year. Where were you, and what were your thoughts about that?
Man, so I think that was very much an iconic, situation for, the city of Cleveland to be in. And I say the city of Cleveland because we rock out with the Browns. The team and that's one and the same for real.
Mm-hmm.
So, to play them the last game of the year to get qualified to play in the playoffs, that was huge. And then to have to play them the first round of the playoffs. You played. We know what the city is like when we play against Pittsburgh. We could be 0 whatever, but if we beat them, all is right in the universe for our fan base. Hell, even for us. Yeah. Especially around this town. So, I was at home, and I'm emotional. I'm biased. Like I'm biased about our team, man. Especially because we played for them, and we know how much the team and the city want to win. So, usually, if I'm out and about watching the game, I can't get too emotional when I'm watching it. Yeah. I can't yell at the TV. I know people looking at me like, oh man, Cribs, little Cribs, he tripping. He really into it. He think he playing. So I most of the times for those big games, I got to be at home so I can say what I want to say around people and not get judged. Talk about whoever, because we got a brotherhood, for the athletes. Yeah. And because we know how hard it is. We know that for the most part, these players are giving it their all. Mm-hmm. Win or lose. They giving it their all. They're paid to do it. They want to have success as individuals. At the same time, that's not going to stop judgment from the fan base and fellow players as well. But we don't want to always let everybody know what we think personally. I might say something about a player, and then I might see him the next day. Like, oh yeah, I know I said that, but how you doing? But I was at home, man. It just was, something I had to do to be able to be emotional for that game.
Got you.
You had some emotional moments and returns throughout your career against the Steelers. It was like, it's like that meme, online where it's like you're playing the video game and then you see those Steelers colors and you like lean forward. You get into the game. Tell me a little bit about those days, because those teams were so physical. They had some dirty licks. We've called for what it is throughout the years. I'm a fan too, so right. There were some dirty hits throughout those days. What was it like to suit up and play that team in black and gold?
It was the best, and again, I can't say more about the fan base, because anytime we're around town and we playing the Steelers, I meet somebody at the gas station. Not really meet. They'll see me out the car window. Chris, man, take care of the Steelers, man. Beep, beep, beep. While they driving past. And I hear that. Or in the restaurants. Or in passing in the convenience stores. So how much this fan base wants to beat the team, to the east of us, and it's so many Steelers fans that reside in Ohio, that are from Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And they, over the years, Pittsburgh has had so much talent as well. And they've been doing great, getting to the playoffs, winning Super Bowls. So we, over the years, have kind of judged ourselves on, one of the best teams in franchises, arguably in history. Yeah. Pittsburgh Steelers. They Palomalu, Ben Roethlisberger's a Hall of Famer. Jerome Bettis, I had an opportunity to play against him, but they've had very good running backs over the course of their tradition, and quarterbacks, wide receivers. I mean, the list goes on and on. They're full of Hall of Fame guys, and us playing against them and beating them and creating that rivalry again. It's been dead because the Browns haven't been as good as we should have been. And we've had talented guys, but I would say that we couldn't mix the talent with our coaching. We either had good coaching, no talent, or great talent, no coaching. Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend to say that the quarterback wasn't a big factor, because it was. We always were searching for a quarterback, and that in turn was the reality. Our quarterbacks and head coaches were one and the same. Like one does bad, the other one go.
I feel as though like you were like one of the vets I looked up to when I got there, and I felt like the years when it was the defensive wise, you guys were rolling, but we had me, Joe, DeQuell, TJ.
A monster defense, basically.
I'm feeling like we've had teams if they just would have kept them together.
Yes.
Even though the coaching changes, I feel like we was just letting too many key people go at opportune times. You know,
And that's not coaching.
Yeah,
No.
that's
management right there. And you spoke of it. You know, traditionally, I say our defense is what kept us in games. And I say that, I would have liked to play running back. I think I would have been a monstrous running back, like pure running back.
For sure.
And but I wasn't able to. So I was able to find my way on the football field the best way I could. But that was a problem when we had to rely so heavily on the return game.
Yeah.
I didn't mind. Hey, you can make me be the guy. I love it. But to rely heavily, like, come on, Chris, we need to play. Like, man, I'm the returner.
Yeah.
Like, I get the ball once this drive.
I
once.
can set y'all up, but y'all got to finish.
Yes. And that's how Phil was recognized. So just let's look back. Offensively, our two greatest guys that we talked about is myself, Joe Thomas, who was a tackle, and Phil Dawson.
Yeah. They
kicker.
talk about that flag in every Cleveland Browns broadcast because they don't have anything else to talk about other than
So
Phil
offensively, now we have in now time. Now we have a Nick Chubb and a Kareem Hunt, a Jarvis, and the list goes on and on. But we have these guys, but if we look in the past, we didn't have that.
Right.
So, to be able to be a team to be reckoned with and to not just be fighting hard. Like, we all fight hard, but that's what we would get praised for, man. You guys really fought out there.
I hate
Man,
it.
I don't want to fight. I want to win. But our team, our defense, we was always known for our defense. They'd be trying to keep us in it as long as we could.
Yeah.
Like, good job, defense, but we couldn't score 13 or 12.
Josh, an interesting point that you just made there was about the quarterback position. It's something that has kind of plagued this organization since its return in 1999. And now there's a lot of fans, and Phil and I have kind of talked about it ad nauseum, is every week it's something else. If Baker goes out there and does really good, he's the next Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
If he goes out there and throws a couple picks and is limping around a little bit, there's the people to chime up that they're cheering for the backup. They're booing him when he goes down.
Absolutely.
Where do you fall with Baker right now? Because he is such a polarizing figure in a contract year, and people are like, they got to kind of make a call one way or another at some point.
Right. They don't have to make a call, really. Not right now. It's speculation that if he plays in that next year without a contract,
right,
he probably won't be here next year unless he kills it. And that's a two-way street.
Yeah.
If you look at his season now, it's not the season that tells a GM, man, we got to keep this guy. Let's keep him, man. Let's do everything for him. Give him what he wants. He's not playing like that.
Right.
And we really don't need him to play balls out every game. We have the talent. So where I stand, I'm stats. I listen to the post game comments. Phil, you know this. We can rely on that. I don't have to talk bad about him.
Yeah.
If most of the games that they play, he says, I got to do better. If most of the games he plays, the coaches are, I got to do better. They had a compilation on Stefanski saying, man, we got to do better. I got to do better. And he said this over and over and over and over for weeks now. So,
and that's just I look at it as the robot in us.
Yes.
And being a player in the NFL and a coach, you know what I'm saying?
Politically correct.
You can't go out there and say what you really want to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think the world is really ready for truth like that in sports.
Well, they won't let you. I mean, our coaches, we come and get dogged sometimes in the locker room. Well, Phil Taylor want to say that the quarterback ain't doing good just because he had a few sacks. I mean, it'll breed all type of controversy on the team.
Correct.
However, the defense did pick off Lamar Jackson four times. And that's an asterisk. That happened when we were playing. We picked off Michael Vick in his last couple years when he was playing 4 times. I want to say 6 times, and we still ended up losing that game. And it happens to the Browns. I don't know why. Yeah. But when you look at Baker Mayfield, there's nobody right now out there in the street that we can grab and be better than Baker Mayfield. He took us to the playoffs.
Yep.
So we got to give him that credit. We went to the playoffs, beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yep.
And we ain't been there since. So I give him that credit. I'm biased. not biased towards him. I'm biased towards his success with our team because he's going to make our team good. Yeah. So I want him to rally back. I want Stefanski to rally back. But as of now, he has a road ahead of him, a tough road. And in order to get to what we need to get to, he got to play better or he'll be playing his last ball here next year.
I mean, I feel like I tell Phil this all the time. And dating back to even before we had Baker, I was such a proponent for him. Because this fan base, and Phil has told me this, again, ad nauseum, it's hard to play quarterback in Cleveland. Because everybody wants to duplicate Bernie. And it feels like we get a good one. And, like, trust me, I think Baker's good. He's shown us good. He's shown us the win in Pittsburgh.
But he's shown us bad, too.
Bad, too. And then the fans, when the bad comes through, they're like, nah, man, we've had nothing but bad. Like, we need to start getting some winning in here. So I feel it on both ends, and I'm like you so badly. I just want to see it work because I don't want to go back to the. I
like his commercials too. I'm not gonna swell. I've been loving the commercials.
And I was just thinking about that. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, he need to worry about more about football and not commercials."
Yeah, he already
at this day and age, man, any player can make money outside of playing football. Do that.
Yes, definitely.
Just because, and a lot of people don't know, like all these commercials on. Baker did every single one of these commercials during the offseason.
Before the season started.
In probably 2 days.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But you know, there's always going to be skepticism on, well, they shouldn't play his commercial. He's not playing good. However, I start to put it, look, Coach Stefanski won Coach of the Year. And rightfully so, right? We went to the playoffs his first year as a head coach. So when the team does good, not only do the quarterback get credit if he played a decent game, but the coach gets a lot of credit. Man, Coach Stefanski did a good job, so he should get the credit in the back, on the reverse end of that. Yeah. We're not doing good. I'm gonna listen to the post, and they ain't gotta say I'm bashing the coach. I'm listening to what the coach said. He said he need to do better. All right, well, the coach need to do better. So right now, I'm gonna take it off of Baker. I'm gonna put it on Coach Stefanski. You still got the best talented guys in the league right now. Yeah. Two-headed monster. Yes, they've been injured. Everybody has been injured. Yeah. We still got a beast in the third backfield, in the third string backfield, and Dearness Johnson, who was killing it. You had the greatest wide receiver core. I mean, you got the pieces to the puzzle.
I don't know how that didn't work.
Because that's not Stefanski's offense.
Yeah.
Think about Vikings. What Vikings? I mean, had the Vikings ever, with Keenum once, right? Yeah. But have they ever been top of the league on a consistent basis? Nope. They've always been 9-win, kind of in. Not really, though, but kind of in. But good enough for the coaches to stay there because they win 9 or 10 games.
Keep you interested.
My motto is, you run that thing down that throat with Hunt and Chubb, everything else going to fall in line.
Yes. I like the diversity of the offense, though. That 3 tight end set, they've been having some success throwing the ball. We keep seeing just glimpses of it. We don't have Kareem and Nick on the field at the same time enough to scare defenses.
Right.
I mean, they are 2 of the greatest backs in the league right now. Mm-hmm. So if a defense had both of them on the field, who you gonna cover, Phil? Like, you think it's gonna be a screen?
And Hunt can block too.
Exactly. But if it could be a screen or he could run it downhill. So what do you cover as a D lineman? Yep. And then what are your cues for as a linebacker? So we don't do that.
Right.
I think we could be doing. I think they could spread the playbook. Oh, open the playbook. Yeah. Copy out. Oh, it's a copycat league. Why are we doing some of the?
What you got to lose right now?
Right. However, we're 6-6.
Yeah.
I mean,
still got a chance.
Phil, we had some terrible years with the team.
I know.
I mean, like 3 wins, 4 wins, 5, hopefully.
Yeah.
And that would almost be good enough in Cleveland. But we're 6 wins still. We at 500. I mean, they control their fate.
Yeah.
I think our expectation is so high that we deserve to be critical on them as fans and as former players. But our expectation is so high with this team, even the coach making it to coaches of the year last year, that we feel like they should be playing better, and they should.
Yeah,
they should. It's no reason they can't. I've been saying this. We have a gourmet meal. The talent that we have we have the recipe to make a fine dining meal, but the cook matters. And in this instant, the cook is the coach.
Yeah.
Because he got all this the best. We could say the quarterback is the steak.
Yeah.
Man, you making that steak you overcooking the steak, coach. It's overcooked. I can't even cut in this, man. You gotta let it marinate, man. You know what I'm saying? Though, like you got the best talent.
Yeah.
I don't want to blame Stefanski. Love the guy, man. He did everything he could to make this team to the playoffs. So I give him credit. I give them a mulligan too. If we flat out don't win no games, no more, I give him a mulligan. I'm mad though. I'm gonna be mad, emotional.
Of course.
But I give him a mulligan, man. We went to the playoffs last year after 2 years going 0-16. That's a big turnaround.
It is. And I feel like you can't put it all on everybody because, the coaches got to coach, but at the same time, the players got to go out there and play.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I feel like it come hand in hand. You know, the coach is going to try to put us in the best position to win, but we got to go out there and execute. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely. I've been saying that we can't put it on the coaches, but they're judged on our success.
Mm-hmm.
So they're judged. It's different, man. If you go to the facility, I've been there before, like the pregame. Man, they in thong flip-flops for walkthrough. Thong flip-flops, like you can feel the grass with your toes. Yes. Like vacation flip-flops, like feel the grass, and shorts, your own shorts, not team issued.
Oh, they ain't even team issue?
They ain't got to go to the locker room.
You got the Lululemon shorts.
But it's a different atmosphere because they went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is laid back. Stefanski is one of the youngest head coach. He's my age.
Yeah.
And so they want you to be relaxed and just do your job. And the only problem with that sometimes is young guys,
They don't know how to handle
that type of leniency. Like, man, we get to do this. Let me
now
get,
that I'm
let me
on
get
the
on
back
my
end,
job.
out, I see like, me as a young guy having all that freedom like that,
Right.
not the greatest
It's not
thing.
the greatest thing, right?
Later in my career, after being a vet and learning like just to buy in and you know what I'm saying, keep your head down,
Yes.
move straight. You know what I'm saying? You know where you got to be. And
That's the huge difference. That buy-in, you had to learn to buy in.
yeah.
So our team not being such a veteran team through and through, I don't think they learned how to buy in exactly.
Yeah.
And Baker is human. He's going through his struggles, and he may not always be able to help the team buy in when he has to concentrate on winning the game this week and getting a contract and doing this and doing that. And it takes other leaders, not just a leader to show, but actually to verbalize. Like, hey man, let's get the meetings, man. Let's be on our game today.
Yeah.
Or a D lineman, come on, get the rest of the boys. Like, man, let's kill it. I remember I was coaching there. I'm not sure. See, Garrett Miles isn't the most vocal person.
Right.
He handles his business, and then he lead by example.
He acquired smoke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not certain that he's like, all right, fellas, to the D lineman. You know how y'all had y'all camaraderie. Y'all you're a group. You get your work in, make sure it's the top.
Yeah.
Echelon, and then y'all move on. I'm not sure it's like that, but they got Clowney on the
I feel
other
like that
end.
on the offensive side, whereas the only guy I think that was still there when I was there is Bentonio. And I feel like he could be the great leader for that offense, but he's one of those not so, outspoken guys.
And see, linemen tend not to be.
Right.
They all was a unit. Like, I would love it if a lineman, would tell the receivers, listen up. Like, come on, fellas. A captain.
Yeah.
Joe wasn't a vocal leader.
Exactly.
So I see Joe on TV, announcing and making jokes. That wasn't the same guy in the locker room.
That's Skinny Joe.
Yeah, that's Skinny Joe. That's
TV Joe.
That's a big personality. Joe wasn't like that back in the day, but he was a guy like Garrett.
He led by example.
He led by example. He knocked a guy out. I'm like, if I'm a lineman, I want to be like him. He got $1 million contract. I want to be like Joe.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes is the best way to lead, because really, your leader, de facto leader on every team is who? The quarterback.
Yeah.
Offense and defense. Quarterback bring everybody together. Yep. All right, D, y'all picking me off. And we had a back and forth with the DBs and the defense, but that's all out of love, the competition. Yep. But when it all said and done, game day, quarterback bring everybody, break it down. Everybody got to believe in that guy. and believe in the game plan too.
Yeah.
Like, cause if you don't believe in the game plan, what y'all doing for the week, it's like, man, we playing such and such with these plays, coach, man. And I'm not saying that that's happening, but everybody has to believe in everybody, and that's I think what Phil was talking about with buying in.
That's human nature too, a big part of it.
One thing, one of the coaches we had, and I think it was the best thing we did because it showed the front office and the coaches what players were thinking with Rob Jasinski and the Leadership Academy, or whatever he called it. We were in, and he would have some of the top guys on the team, and we were every week. We would meet. What was it? Mondays or Tuesday? One of them days.
I think it was Monday when
I think Mondays and Saturdays.
Monday, because Tuesday's day off, but Monday you watching film of the last. It's the easier day to do it. I think it was a Monday.
But Jasinski, he had some of the vets and the captains, and we all meet and basically talk about what's going on, what we think they can do to help. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even got to be football. It could be something around the facility.
That's huge.
Yeah, just to, you know what I'm saying, to have players more comfortable and willing to buy in.
And you know what that built? Accountability
and trust.
And trust.
Yeah.
If you had Phil coming up there, he just gave a synopsis on what we need to do. You think he ain't gonna do it? He suggested it.
Right.
So that means whatever they suggest as players, they got to do it.
And that means when it happens, too, you're putting, as players, your whole beings into that suggestion. Like, this is my suggestion, and this better work. And you know what it shows me, guys, is I don't think we had a lot of that. Earlier this year, with some of the stuff flying around with Odell Beckham, and these guys were getting thrown up there. They didn't know what to say.
It was more of a big
what was
distraction.
going on. It was a mess.
And I always said from the beginning, I don't. He got traded here. I don't think he truly wanted to be in Cleveland.
Right. And I think he undoubtedly matured from the Giants.
Oh,
for sure.
For
it
sure.
seems as if
the way he handled Cleveland.
He didn't really speak bad in the media.
If this was New York, if that was New York Odell, he would have been throwing fits.
Yes.
He like I said, kept his head down. It is what it is.
All the way to the end. Because remember, it was his dad.
Yep.
And let me tell y'all this. Let me tell y'all this. Talks was going on behind doors. He wasn't happy, but you didn't know it until his father spoke up. And that went viral. But those conversations was happening.
It took a lot for that to happen.
It did, but
it wasn't going to come from him.
Right. And that's the most important thing. We were all thinking like OBJ, but it took everybody for a loop. Oh, he must be because he didn't come out against his dad. So those conversations were happening. They were trying to trade OBJ.
Yeah.
They were trying to make some changes. It just didn't happen, but it wasn't really out there in the public's eye because he kept his head down. Like Phil said, he kept his head down. And that let me know that he matured, even though he wasn't happy. And honestly, I don't blame his dad. That's his father.
Yeah.
I could just imagine me and my son. I'm going to be all for my son.
Yeah.
I'm biased to Cleveland, but I'm even more biased to my son.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that we talk about on this show, and the reason why Phil and I started this up is it's all Ohio, man.
Right.
We all stayed. And guys like yourself stayed. You're not from here, played quarterback at Kent. Everybody knows the story. Golden Flash alum. What was it like for you personally getting picked up by the Browns 45 minutes away from where you went to college, kind of familiar stomping grounds, and then just getting to play quarterback in Cleveland and staying, starting a family, finding a home here?
It was pressure because people knew me. They knew of me, like even the media. Yeah. I had to become a wide receiver and do it at the highest level.
Yeah.
Do it for the first time and at the highest level. Just to be on the team so they can be like, yeah, he can be a backup, but be a main guy on special teams. So I remember I dropped my first pass in training camp, and it was by a reporter. It was in the indoor, and the ball rolled by the reporter, and I could hear him say, this Cribs guy not going to make it. Oh, my goodness, dog. I was like, what the? So just to hear that, he was like, this Cribs guy not going to make it. When I heard that, I'm just like, I'm like, no, who was it? And it was, to me, I didn't even look back. To me, it was like he was upset I dropped it and that he was rooting for me.
Yeah.
Because he was like, like you don't do that if you don't care about that guy. You're like, man, you dropped the ball. This ain't no good. But his reaction was, like he was disappointed.
Yeah, for sure.
And that meant something to me. I was like, hey, man, people room. So that gave me that inspired me even more to have a chance to make the team and to do something with it, like to make people proud. Like I felt like this was I tried to burn the bridge. Like, yes, I was, did good in school, but I was like, I wasn't thinking about working a regular job. I had to put everything, and this, Phil, we got to put everything into this athlete, into this sport.
Right.
Because it's not for long. We know that. NFL not for long. So we had to put everything into it. Even when I made the team, I didn't even think I was going to be here the next year until I started balling. But I was spending all my checks because I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to happen next year. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm at the club every Saturday, every off day, popping bottles, spending just cash. The bank teller, I remember the bank teller was like, man, you want to get direct deposit? And I'm like, nah, man, just cash. So I was literally taking my game check to the bank and getting cash. And they were trying to advise me on the run, on the fly. The bank teller was like, yeah, Mr. Cribbs, you want to just direct deposit because it just go right in your account and we don't have to exchange. I'm like, nah, cash. I just want cash. Just hand me the cash. And I felt every week. And Phil, when I first got in the league, I didn't realize until the 10th week that we didn't get paid outside of the season. Nobody told me that. I didn't know we didn't get paid outside of football season.
That's a big thing, bro. And I feel like now that I learned all these things, these young guys need to know.
Man, they didn't tell me. Dennis Northcutt came up to me.
17 weeks.
17, lump sum every week. So I got, and back then my salary was like, I want to say $250, a rookie minimum. And I would get like a check for $8,000 every week, minus the taxes or whatever. Right. $8,000 cash, 21 years old.
Oh, yeah.
$8,000 cash every week for 16 weeks at a time.
45 minutes away.
Man, so I'm like, I'm rich in my head.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking it's going to come for 52 weeks. 8,000. I ain't do the math. I didn't do the math. Math wasn't my strong suit. I got a tutor just to get a B and calc. But 8, I didn't know. And Dennis Northcutt walked up to me the 10th week and said, hey, Josh, man, you know we don't get our checks at the when season over. It stopped until next year. I'm like, I know that. Like, what did you think? I did not know at all. I just was saving face, one man to another. Yeah. And for the last 6 weeks of the season, I saved every check. My boys was like, man, what's wrong, man? We ain't going to hang out. Like, nah, man, not this week. I got the coach put some stuff on me, blah, blah, blah. And I was broke when that money lasted me all the way to preseason. We don't get paid like that in preseason. Right. We get like a stipend, like
you get like $1,300 a week.
$1,300 a week, and that lasts until the first game. I was bone dry. Could pay my rent, my mortgage, my rent. I had a renting at the time. I could pay the rent and pay to eat and live for the last. Man, up until the last preseason game, then I got that 13. It was like, ooh, Lord. And then that's when I had my journey of financial, stability and understand, okay, this thing gonna last, so I gotta do what's right.
For sure. Do you have any, you talk about Kent State, and not the most mathematical guys myself either. I went to Kent for journalism. Okay. Do you have any Kent memories that you could share with us, or just any enjoyable times in Northeast Ohio, even before the NFL?
Of course. I met my wife at Kent. And,
that's awesome.
That was, significant for me because, again, we didn't have, like, social media like it is now.
Yeah.
So we had to actually go up to them and talk to them. We couldn't DM them. Yeah, we couldn't do that. We couldn't just, it was just impossible. And in reality, she likes to tell people that I stalked her, because I saw her. She won best dress at this ball that we would have at Kent, Renaissance Ball, every year. And I'm like, man, I want that. I want her right there. And then the upperclassman was telling me, like, man, what? That's wifey material, man. And they introduced me to other girls. Like, yeah, these girls over here, they ready. How it works. College, man. So I'm like, nah, I want her. So I set myself to talk to her. And she kept talking to other people. She was popular. She kept stopping, talking. So every time she stopped, I gotta stop because I'm trying to. I'm like, dang. So I'm wasting time over here, and I'm indirectly getting in her pictures in the background. in the background, I'm like this. So not too long ago, she looked at a picture and she was like, "Man, what the heck? You in the background of one of the pictures in college?" I was like, "Ain't that a mother?" I'm in the background like this in one of the pictures, like just looking away, and it looked like I was stalking her. But today they'll say I was thirsty. But how else would I have an opportunity to talk to her?
Fact,
Yeah.
if you
I had to go up and talk to her.
Yeah.
And then I was going over what I was going to say. I'm like, man, I got to talk to a girl. I thought this was supposed to be easy once you're the quarterback in college. Like, man, it's supposed to be easy. But end up getting to talk to her, man. We fell in love. You know, been together ever since, man. And, you know, I was able to be in college with, you know, some NFL greats. You know, myself, James Harrison, he welcomed me to college football by hitting me, even though I had a red jersey on in Kent State. I was there with Julian Edelman was after my time.
Yeah.
But Antonio Gates, he took the basketball team to the Elite Eight when I was in college. So they went to the Elite Eight. He was a All-American honorable mention in basketball, and we all three of us made it to the NFL Pro Bowl at the same time.
That's crazy.
3 Kent State guys. So it was a special time for us.
Have you tried your Twisted Melt sandwich there?
I have. I've been
good.
to Water Street Tavern. I've been to I have tried it. I love it. You know, every time I can get back, I go. The university has changed significantly.
It is. It's
I'm
crazy
sure
now.
you know Baylor done changed drastically,
I ain't been back though.
but because it's not in your area right now.
No, it's more of a new regime. I feel like they ain't reaching out. I ain't
They
gonna
ain't
reach out.
reaching out to the alumni like
I
that.
feel like just the whole the stuff that went down with Browse, they really don't want to recognize that era.
Okay. They trying to erase that side of it.
You can't though, because
Yeah.
Browse
Yeah.
era put Baylor on the map.
Right.
Because you got me, and the other offensive lineman, Danny Watkins, went first round. Then after that, we had 3 receivers go first round,
Right.
And Robert Griffin get Heisman.
Gordon.
Yep.
You
Josh.
can't even. But the thing is about that whole situation, the school apologized to him and said it wasn't him. But you done already destroyed his career. What that mean?
I'm sure they'd be reaching out to you financially. Kent been beating my phone up.
They love it, dude.
The
They give me
alumni
by
department.
email. They give me by phone. They give me
Man,
by
I used to
traditional
work in the
mail.
call center as a summer job before, so I know how. Man, we got a whole little script to go down so people can donate back to the university, and they be calling me with the same script. I'm like, man, I remember that
You
script.
ever think about going back there to the coach?
I have. I have before Sean Lewis, who's the current coach, one of the youngest coach. He was a coordinator. He was a quarterback coach in Syracuse before he took this MAC team to a championship a few days ago. And they played at Ford Field in Detroit, and they headed to the Idaho Bowl against Wyoming. So the program is doing great. And I was putting a lot of stuff on IG. I love that the team, because even before I got there, they didn't have a winning season since the 80s, early 80s. I got there, we 6 and bowl eligible, but they wasn't handing out bowls like they are now.
Yeah.
You know how there's a ton of bowl games,
Yeah.
and we would have went to a bowl game.
I think when I was playing in college, you had to win 5. If you won
6.
I think it's 5 now, maybe.
No.
You sure?
If it is, that's too low. I thought it's 6. It's
only
6.
10 games.
6 to get in.
Is it
It
12
is
games
only
or 10 games?
because you got to be above 500.
Yeah, you got to be above 500 to get in a bowl.
No, you can go 6-6 and go to the bowl game.
That's 5 or better, right? I'm
I
thinking.
think it's 5 or better.
No, 500 or better.
Okay.
Cause 6,
I swear I thought
you
somebody
went
made
to
a bowl game
Baylor,
with 5.
so you played more games.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We played 10 games
Yeah, when I was at Penn State, we
or
played
12.
10. No, 12 because
12 games.
8 and 4 was our best.
Yes.
And
we
now
were-
Kent has
yeah.
the pay games too. So Kent's going out there against Penn State.
And they on
stuff,
ESPN
and-
a lot.
Yeah.
Mostly every week they just play on like Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
Them
Max
off days, but I
That's
love
big
it.
for the
He said
betting.
action.
I would have
big for
loved
the
it. That would have
betting,
heck to recruit.
Oh,
Knowing
yeah.
you be playing on ESPN, and we played in the Big Ten all the time. I played against O State when the year they
Yep.
played Miami, when they had Maurice Correct and Mike Doss, Will Smith, the linebackers, AJ Hawk. To me, that was their best defense. I threw for 100, rushed for 100.
Well, I remember
2 TD
playing against
passes,
O
a rushing
State.
TD.
I played against O State twice. my freshman
Well, you went to Baylor, so that's not that's
different.
that's
I'm talking
not
about
fun.
I went to Penn State first.
Oh yes.
But that's still
What
Well, you don't count. You went
we
to a
got
big
dogged
school.
by Ohio State.
But
I
you
never beat Ohio
you went
State.
to a big school, and I'm talking about for a MAC, man. With measly.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, I was
We're in the
covering
back,
Kent
man.
versus Bowling Green.
But before,
and-
but before, when I got down to Baylor wasn't nothing.
But see, okay, yeah, that era did boom. You
Yeah,
know,
put it on the
Baylor
map.
put Baylor on the map. But still, you went to Penn, and Baylor
Yeah.
is a bigger school than Kent. So I was speaking to the terms of like having these MAC schools that people probably I never would have heard about Kent until I came out here. Actually, came out here to play a high school game against St. Ignatius, and that's how I got recruited to Kent. We played against St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius was ranked in the country at the time. Had NFL quarterback. Had
Y'all
an
came all the way out
NFL
from
came
Dunbar?
all the way out here.
That's
Played
crazy.
them,
Damn.
and they saw me because we practiced at Kent indoor. And I'm like, man, this is a good indoor. Way out here, loved it. Then they offered me a scholarship that night.
That's awesome.
That night they offered me a scholarship, and then came to the game and seen me beast out. We lost. We ain't know how good St. Ignatius was. We was
Right.
good. You gotta think. Vernon Davis was my tight end. I had NFL guys on the roster.
Another thing, tell these people how people don't know how populated the DMV is. when
Yeah,
it comes to
DC.
football guys,
That's the
man.
thing. If we had 1, 2 teams for the city, or 3 or 4, it'll be a monster. So much talent will come out here. But we have a school every 10 blocks.
Right.
It's a school. Yeah, so it's very populated densely, but it's not every program different. Every team got about 3 or 4 superstars.
Like my last year in high school, I played against Joe Hayden in the playoffs. I played against Navarro Bowman in the playoffs. Who else?
I was playing against
A.J.
Sean
Wallace.
Merriman.
Yeah.
And then we played Sean Merriman. Like, we was playing against some great talent. Aurelius Ben was on my team. Vontae Davis, who was Vernon Davis' brother.
In high school. People.
In high
Like, This is
school.
high school.
Yeah.
So we traveled to play and get recruited. Like, we
Yeah.
played against Zanesville down the road.
Yeah, that's
Wheeling Park, West Virginia. You know, and so we had to travel to get our guys recruited, and that's what it meant, man.
We were known more for basketball in the DMV
Yeah,
area.
yes, definitely.
Well, let's talk now. Let's stay in the area because we hit Cleveland, we hit Kent. We got another place that's pretty nearby. We got to talk Canton. Class of 2022, modern era Hall of Fame nominee. I want it to happen for you so bad, bro.
You and me
We
both.
all do.
How much would that mean to you to walk into Canton, a Cleveland Brown alum and a Hall of Famer?
You know what? I think it'll mean more for my legacy. My jersey is there. My mom saw it. She was like, "What about the person who was wearing it?" And she was like, "Forget your jersey. It was a person in that jersey. Why ain't you in it?" You know, so when I see my jersey, and my son had a chance to see my jersey and then watch the highlights of the game that put my jersey in there, to see his face, that was like joy for me above making it. Like, I was like, dang, the way he looked at me with such aspiration, I was like, dang, I did something right. But when I'm in that conversation, that nominee, that Hall of Fame conversation, that's the joy that I get out of it. You know, coming undrafted, you know, out of Kent State, you know, from DC. You know, we don't put a lot of people in the league to the point like it relates to other states. So when I bring my family, my area, when my success trickles down, that's the joy that I see.
Yeah.
And the confirmation is something like the Hall of Fame. When I see I did something that nobody did. I used to chase Hester, his records. I broke them. Like, we had a conversation about this. He was like, "Man, you the best kick returner." Not because, you know, I feel a certain way or you feel you have more kick return touchdowns than me.
Right.
So you the best kick returner. But I got more punt returns, baby. That's what he said. And I'm like, yes. And then I said, you the best punt returner in history because you have more returns, punt returns, touchdowns than I do in anyone. But I have more kick returns. I broke the record and then broke my own record. Not just that. I had more, the coverage part. I tackled everybody. I had more tackles in the league. I used to make it as a returner and then make it as a cover guy, as second team. You know, every year. So who has done two? Who has done both? Who has been the top returner and tackler, you know, on the team? You know, so I think when you're talking about Hall of Fame, you're talking about something that sets a person apart from the rest.
Yeah.
And to be an all-decade guy. Like I was on a 2000s all-decade team, so to boost myself up, I got full confidence I should be in.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I'm glad enough just mentioning me with the greats.
Yeah.
If you don't, you just know it's politics.
Yeah, but it is. I've learned that.
That's why Ocho Cinco not in there right now.
And I've learned that because he definitely deserved to be.
Look at stats.
I learned this. If the Browns do good, if they continually be a good team to be reckoned with, I'll make it into the Hall of Fame.
Do you think that's just because of the chatter that
Politics.
more people like the Browns?
Yes.
The Browns are on the national map.
Yes.
We got to get Cribs in there. He's a Browns legend. He's a Browns
absolutely.
Politics
because
run everything.
Why you think they have fan votes?
See, here's my argument against that, though. As a fan that growing up, all I had was you and
Right.
Joe and Phil. That's it. That's my
Right.
vote. You were the
Right.
organization for all those years.
So that's why they have fan voting. If it was just off of stats, it wouldn't be no go to this website and sign and vote.
Yeah.
They'd just go off your stats. Like this guy is going. It would be a committee. This guy is going.
Right.
Or this guy is nominated, and we're gonna all vote as a committee, not a fan base. Because then you're biased. You're voting on. I like him. I don't care if he didn't score.
He played for my team.
Yeah, he played for my team.
Yeah.
Either you in or you're noteworthy. You're an all-decade Pro Bowler multiple years, or you dominated. It was just like recruiting, Phil.
Mm-hmm.
When I was coaching there, we had to look for guys who stuck out like a sore thumb. If I was looking at Phil, and every time I turn on the film, he stick out, and he's dominating, and it's noticeable every game. Like, who's this guy? Like, literally, I don't know him, and he sticks out. That's the guy I want to recruit. That's the guy I want my team. He sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
He's scoring, or he's making all the plays. Who is this guy? That's how you can tell a Hall of Famer or a guy who deserves recognition over everyone else.
Yeah.
Stick out.
Yeah, when you got the tape, you got the stats. Pro
NFL
Football Reference is out there for everybody for
The
free.
NFL is the best of the best.
Yeah.
Everybody out there is the best of the best. So you sticking out among the best of the best, man, you special guy, man. That's all I can ask for.
For sure.
Special guy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know that we got your back. You got our vote. You got Cleveland's vote. I know you know that nobody reps Cribs like Cleveland. We appreciate you coming on the pod, man. This was a lot of fun. We kept it real. I mean, we talk current Browns, former Browns. This was a lot of fun.
I love
We
it,
appreciate you
man.
coming on.
Y'all gotta have me back on, man.
Yeah.
Now that because me and Phil, man, he was about to beat me up, man. Phil was like, "Hey, man, I ain't gonna call you no more, man. You better come, like I said, or we gonna have." And I ain't want no problems with Phil, man. I seen him play on the field.
If anybody knows,
So I didn't want any problems.
It's me, bro.
I didn't want any problems, but I tell you, man, I had so much fun, man. Y'all gotta have me back on. We gotta talk, especially as the season progresses. And whenever y'all do this, man, I really appreciate y'all.
Well, like I said, they renewed us, so we gonna be we gonna go all the way through the playoffs. And
Yes.
they want us to do an episode even after football done. They want us to do an episode every other week or so.
Man, that's
so,
excellent, man.
We're back.
Hey, get me on here.
Yeah, for sure.
We got you. We appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate
Yes,
it, bro.
thank you.
From big parlays to picks on the money line, here are Phil's and Nick's picks of the week.
Alrighty, welcome on into our weekly pick segment presented by betJACK.com. Every week, Phil and I go back and forth and we lock in our entire slate of picks for the NFL each week. It's a ton of picks. We get through it every week. So far on the season, I'm 2 games behind Phil, and we pick these games on the money line. So you'll hear us talk about things like the spread. We'll talk about the plus, minus, who's the favorite. But for our official records, we just go money line every week. As always, we kick it off on Thursday Night Football. As the Pittsburgh Steelers, we just got a look at them against the Baltimore Ravens. They're on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. We also just got to look at those Vikings because they lost to the Detroit Lions and made kind of some national headlines. Lions got their first win. Vikings at home, they're 5-7. Steelers on the road, they're 6-5. Vegas likes Minnesota in this game, 3.5-point favorites.
That's tough. Man, it's a tough one, man. Steelers are just so, like, up and down. It's either they're great or they're mediocre. Great, mediocre, great, mediocre. But I'm going to go Steelers on this one. I'm going to go Steelers. I feel as though they at this point was like, hey, this is our time. We got to make that push because if we don't make it now, we done. And I think the Vikings, I don't know if, Cook might be back this week or not. So we'll see. And, my take on Kurt, a little inconsistent, but, you never know. Adam Thielen might be still down, so they might be struggling a little bit trying to find some receivers. So
yeah. Kirk still threw for 300 yards, and Adam Thielen went down, and they lost that game to the Minnesota Vikings. So for me in this game, it's the old guy on your Instagram, Phil, with the hat. Run the football. It doesn't matter if you have Dalvin Cook. It doesn't matter if you have Alexander Madison. It doesn't matter if you have the dude that walked down to Mount Union this past offseason. You got to run that football, man. That's how you beat this Pittsburgh Steelers team. You know that front four is really solid up there with Cam Hayward and those boys. They're going to try to come after you, but you can't abandon that. That's what works. Especially they're probably going to be without Adam Thielen. It's a high ankle sprain, but that's the good news. You run that football, go play action. You got Justin Jefferson, who was one of the most phenomenal, rookies last season. I'm with you. My head wants me to pick Pittsburgh in this game, but I'm going to pick the Minnesota Vikings to win and cover the 3.5 spread, because in doing so, this keeps our Cleveland Browns playoff chances looking well and alive, because this about would bury the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to take the 3.5. They got to run the football, though. If they don't do that, Pittsburgh's going to win.
Got to.
All right, we'll move past that game. This is a great matchup. I wish it was in prime time. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Phil's MVP vote, Tom Brady, will be at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 9-3 are the Bucs, playing host to the Buffalo Bills. Bills got to start winning, man, if they want to make the playoffs in this AFC. They're 7-4. Vegas is giving Tampa 3.5 points. That's 2 back-to-back 3.5-point spreads in favor of the home team, which pretty much means that a lot of these games are a toss-up. You usually get 3 points in Vegas as the home team. So they like Tampa here, but they also see this being a toss-up.
Yeah, this is like I said, man, it's a toss-up. I know Bills got a lot of stuff to prove, man, after just being inconsistent lately and things like that. But I feel as though the thing that's really hurting them is their run game. You know what I'm saying? Not being able to run the ball consistently.
Bro, is Josh Allen their best running back? I'm being serious.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. They brought Breida in, but Breida's not a bruiser. I look at the Buffalo Bills. You playing in cold-ass Buffalo, New York. You need a bruiser. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they need to go find somebody that's a bruiser that can, be an every down back or a first, second down back. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. If they can't run the ball, I don't think they're going to do nothing against the Bucs. So I think I'm going to take the Bucs on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bucs too. Recipe for success here for me is pretty simple, and that's just the Bills are going to do what the Bills do. Stephon Diggs is going to have a day. I'm sure Josh Allen's going to have a day. But your bread and butter is just Tom Brady, those intermittent throws in the middle of the field, and just let him cook. And that offense should be too much. And Tampa's D slowly going back into form, too. They had just so many injuries to start the season, but they're slowly starting to figure it out, too. So we're both picking Tampa here.
Cool.
We'll head to Washington.
Ooh.
Football team, red hot, playing the Dallas Cowboys in an NFC East showdown. I was a little bit surprised by this spread, I'll say, because I've went on the record. I've called the Cowboys good. I'm also going to go on the record and say the football team's surprised the hell out of me. They look really good as well. But Vegas is kind of really leaning into Dallas. 4.5-point favorites on the road. I was a little surprised to see that. I thought that was a smidge high for a road team.
I think that clown man starting to show with the Cowboys. They really starting about to be that clown up under there.
Oh, no. Come on.
Oh, no, man. I'm going to have to ride with my football team on this one regardless, though, man. I'm going to have to ride with them.
I'll say this. Taylor Heineke looks really good. Like, they're letting him settle in, and got to show love. Ken Zampese is his quarterback coach. He was Mayfield's quarterback coach here in Cleveland when Baker kind of took the world by storm. So that guy kind of knows what he's doing. He takes all these quarterbacks and really could elevate their play. I like what they got going on. I got to pick the Cowboys, though. They're good. They finally got a dub last week to get themselves back on track in prime time. Wasn't pretty, but they found a way. Zeke looks hurt and slow. They need to ride Pollard and let Dak be Dak. Get CeeDee Lamb involved. You spent a first-round pick on the guy. So I'm taking Dallas on the road. I hope that doesn't come back to bite me because this is a big matchup with me always calling Dallas good, and my confidence is wavering. I will say I still think they're good, and being kind of a lifelong football team supporter. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Cowboys against better judgment.
All right.
We'll head to Arrowhead for another inter-division matchup. Kansas City Chiefs going to play host to the Las Vegas Raiders. This is a huge spread. KC minus 9.5 point favorites. I'm going to ride Kansas City. I think that's too many points. In reality, if we had legalized sports betting here in Ohio, I would never touch that. That's just like way too much for my liking. But for this pick segment, I'm definitely taking KC. Not a whole lot to talk about here.
Yeah, I'm taking KC. I'm not going to take the 9.5 as well.
Kenyon Drake is out for the Raiders now, too.
Out. Hopefully that means, Josh Jacobs from my fantasy will do a little bit better. But, I don't know, man. The Raiders have just been inconsistent, I feel like 3-4 games ago, you were like, oh, they're doing all right. And then,
welcome
it's
to
the NFL.
December, man. It's the Raider way. They've done this the last couple of years where they look really good out of the gate and then something happens. And it's not Derek Carr.
I kind of feel like the whole the Ruggs incident kind of, saying probably it's a big distraction out there.
That and a couple weeks before, Gruden had all his stuff come out. And then that looked like addition by subtraction because then they started winning games with no John Gruden. Yeah. And then Henry Ruggs screws up and it all goes to hell in a handbag. I'd look for the Raiders to probably draft a receiver this coming draft, so maybe they don't want to win anymore.
I don't think what's name going to be back anytime soon.
No.
If at all.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we'll move past there. We both got Kansas City. Pretty easy game to pick. Here's the toss-up. In Carolina, the Panthers, Cam Newton, 2.5 point favorite without Christian McCaffrey for the season. I hate fantasy football. Yet still the Panthers are favorite against the Atlanta Falcons. I know how you feel about Matt Ryan. I have a feeling I know who you're going to pick in this game. Panthers are 5-7. Atlanta's 5-7. So this is really a toss-up game.
Yeah, I don't know who to pick. Yeah, Matt Ryan ain't the best, but Cam ain't showed that either since he been back. His first game was great, and after that, I don't know. But hopefully they get it together. I think Chuba Hubbard can get the job done as well. He a little bit more of a bruiser than McCaffrey. So
for sure.
I'm going to go with the Panthers on this.
I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think.
What they got?
Atlanta?
Yeah, what they got?
Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts. We were so happy.
What did Kyle Pitts do the last 3 weeks?
So that's the thing. So here's the sequence of affairs on this show. We started off pissed. Why is Kyle Pitts not getting the ball? What's wrong with Matt Ryan? Then we finally give him his praise and his due credit. Matt Ryan finally figured out how to be an old quarterback. He's finally dumping the ball off to his tight end, getting the guy involved that they spent that big draft pick on. Now he's gone again. What's going on? What kind of brain fog does that offensive coordinator have? Get the guy the ball. It's so simple. You're going to.
You think it's the OC, or do you think it's the defensive coordinators scheming against Pitts?
Well, that's a good question.
Because they know Ridley's out, no Julio.
Matt Ryan's a shell of his former self.
Yeah, Gage did better last week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think he took a lot of those targets that should have been for Pitts, but. Other than Gage, what they got?
Mike Davis in the backfield.
Yeah, that was the biggest upset ever, Mike Davis.
You know what? Mike Davis revenge game this week. That's how they win because this is Mike Davis's old squad in Carolina.
Make this your lock so you can lose.
No, I got a Mike Davis revenge game. I might fall back in the pick segment just for saying this. I don't know the first thing about Mike Davis. Last year I picked him up off the waivers when McCaffrey went down. He worked out for me real well. So Mike Davis revenge game. Let's go. Book it. Atlanta plus 2.5. Atlanta money line win outright. Give me the Falcons. We'll move to New York. Zach Wilson is still the starting quarterback for the Jets. They're 3-9. The Saints are on the road. They're not much better at 5-7. New Orleans still 5.5 point road favorites. I came to a conclusion this week about the New Orleans Saints when we saw them in prime time. My conclusion is this. Sometimes in life and in football, you're just dealt a really crappy hand. And for Sean Payton, for the first time in a very long time, he was dealt an absolute crap platter. I mean, Taysom Hill was out there. I don't know how you know, in basketball, when they take a free throw shooter that's struggling, the Cavs did this a couple years back with Tristan Thompson. At the free throw line, you can't hit the bright side of a barn at this free throw line. And they say, try shooting it with your left. I think that's what Taysom Hill needs to start doing with the football. Have you ever tried throwing it left-handed, Taysom? Because he's throwing some lame ducks out there. I mean, he's out there.
He's just going to throw it worse. You try that.
It's insane, but in this season, the Saints are cooked. It's weird to say because they've been a really stable organization, but this year they're just not it. I'm going to take them to win this game.
A lot of injuries. Yeah.
No Michael Thomas, so you're out there with a weird quarterback situation. You've been through 3 starters now, and your wide receiver has been missing for 2 years now. So it's tough. I'm going to pick them to win this game, but it's been tough to win.
Yeah.
I just can't I can't in good faith pick the Jets when I'm trying to make a comeback here.
You're right. And it's like with this, I don't want to pick either one. But I go Saints.
Yeah, I'll take the Saints. Again, in reality, I would never bet on this game in a million years. You'd be asking to lose your money. All right, we'll move on to Houston. The Texans, for whatever reason, their season's still going on. They're at home, and they will host the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is 4-8. Seahawks are 7.5-point favorites. Russell Wilson has struggled big time so far this year.
I think his finger's still a little messed up.
I hope that's what it is.
Because before that, he wasn't doing too bad.
No, I hope that's what it is, though. Because, what if next year, he has the whole offseason, just get the hand right? I don't know what kind of therapy
I don't think next year, I think he'd be more than perfect because I don't think, I hadn't had a dislocated finger or whatever, but not surgery, but.
Right.
I don't think a year will take, it'd be too long for a finger to get back in motion.
Yeah,
so.
Me neither. However, Seattle 7.5-point favorite in this game. I would never bet on this again. I like Seattle in this game to win outright. Obviously, they're the clear betting favorite. Give me
they're going to win this regardless.
Texans are also without Tyrod Taylor. He is hurt again.
I'm taking the 7.5 too.
You think this could be ugly?
I'll take the 7.5. Or it could be like one of these games where they freaking around like Detroit,
Yeah, the Davis Mills coming out party for Houston. No, give me Seattle. All right, we'll move on to Denver. Vegas giving Detroit no love. Broncos are at home in Mile High. They play the Detroit Lions. 10-1. How about those Lions getting their first win with Man Campbell? 7.5-point favorites are the Denver Broncos. That's a huge spread.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna take the points. Lions, they done got a little confidence down, a little, you know what I'm saying, a little gas in the tank. So shoot.
Are you gonna do it?
I ain't picking them. I ain't picking them. I'm just saying that's what they, they got to win under their belt.
Yeah, they're feeling themselves a little bit.
I'm still gonna go Broncos though. I'm gonna go Broncos. But I'm not going to take the 7.5.
The Broncos were the most boring primetime watch of the year this year. The Chiefs didn't look all world offensively either, but Denver really struggled offensively. I am going to pick Denver in this game, but my lock of the week is going to be Detroit covering this spread. I think even though Detroit just got their first dub, they might be riding a little too high to win another football game. But 7.5, you're saying that they're going to win by over a touchdown. So really, if with a 7.5-point spread, you're saying they're going to win by 10. So we're probably not going to get a safety or a missed field goal. So a touchdown and a field goal, I don't see that. Detroit plays teams hard. So my lock of the week is going to be the Lions covering this 7.5-point spread because Denver just hasn't shown it to me recently.
Good pick.
We'll move forward to Nashville, Tennessee. Speaking of big spreads, man, how about this? My lock last week was the Jaguars covering a massive spread against the Los Angeles Rams. Ooh, they got their doors kicked in. Titans are 8-4. Jaguars are 2-10. Titans 10.5-point favorites. Give me the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, that's
in
easy.
This game.
I'm taking Titans as well. I feel as though Jags are they're looking in the next year.
Yep. And hopefully they could get there. You know, you definitely want your starting quarterback not to lose some of this confidence and all those things that come with it. So just get to next year, Jacksonville. All right, we'll move to Los Angeles. The Chargers coming off a big win against the Cincinnati Bengals. They'll play the New York Giants. Chargers, 10.5-point favorites in this game. I'm taking the Chargers. Freddie Kitchens, man, where's the creativity? Where's the fun? Obviously, Daniel Jones is out. They had Mike Glennon going. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback this week, but I'm taking the Chargers regardless of who it is, and I'm probably going to take the 10.5 in this game.
Ooh, that's a lot.
New York looks so bad. And I like their defense because I like some of those guys. I like Pep, you know, I like their defensive line, but Chargers will be they're humming right now. They're kind of hitting on all cylinders on offense. That offense looks really good. They could be without Keenan Allen, which is a little worrisome just because COVID and he's vaccinated, so he could be back, might not be back. Kind of a game time decision. We'll see what happens there, but to win this game, pretty easy. Give me LA.
I'm gonna take LA as well, but I'm not gonna take the 10.5.
It's a lot of points.
I'm not gonna take the 10.5.
All right, we'll move on to Sunday Night Football. We'll do it from Lambeau Field. I'm sure it'll be another cold primetime game. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are back. They will host the Green Bay Packers. Packers, 12.5-point favorites in this matchup. I think deservedly so. The Chicago Bears, man. What are we doing, Nagy? What are we doing?
Oh, Nagy's still there?
Oh, he's still there.
Oh,
so
dang.
they fired him. He won that game. He hasn't been real fired since. Matt Nagy's still their head coach. Maybe we'll hear another report in the next hour or so that they fired him again to galvanize the troops, and then they cover this spread, and then Matt Nagy will be back. I doubt it. I'm taking Green Bay in this game, and I think it'll be a pretty easy tune-up for Aaron Rodgers and the boys. Maybe get that toe a little bit right.
I'm taking Packers, but it is a division rivalry game.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to take the Packers.
Are you going to take the 12.5 is the next question.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it because
you know why? That clip of Aaron Rodgers last a couple weeks ago when he was in Chicago and he's like looking into the fans, he's like, I own you. Like, he's going to remember that. They're going to remember that. And that's true. That's a fact.
Yeah, I just don't know what the Bears want. They got too much going on outside of football. You know what I mean? I feel like, they don't even know if their head coach is going to be there next week.
Another team playing for the end of the year at this point.
Yep.
Give us both the Packers and the 12.5, man. That's crazy. I think that's the first time that we've ever both picked a big spread like that. All right, we'll head on to Monday Night Football. This is a matchup that I can't wait to watch. The Arizona Cardinals will be at home in the desert playing host to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams offensively finally got their footing back a little bit last week, albeit against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is another virtual toss-up in this game. Cardinals 2.5-point favorites at home. Kyler back, D-Hop back, but on that other side, you got Stafford, OBJ, and if they could ever figure out how to get that defense in LA going, they could really be clicking.
Man, this is a tough one though, man.
This is definitely the most difficult game on the slate that we've had to pick.
And it's the toss-up too. I've been watching the Rams a little bit more, or I've seen more of their games this year. I'm going to go with the Rams because I feel as though they're starting to click. You know, they OBJ starting to fit in, and they, you know what I'm saying? So the defense, gonna be all right there. They're going to be all right. And I feel as though if they get to Kyler Murray and rattle him up, put Ramsey on D-Hop, they'll be all right.
For me, this is pretty easy, man. I'm going to take the Cardinals. And my reasoning behind that is the Rams think they have everything figured out now because they beat the Jaguars. Odell looked good. Stafford looked good.
You think they got to figure it out just because they beat the Jaguars?
They might be thinking that. Like, all right, we're heading in the right direction. This ain't no Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence. This is Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, D-Hop, A.J. Green, Rondell Moore that we're talking about here.
Yeah,
so it's a different type of handful for these Rams. And I completely get and understand what you're saying. And I do think down the stretch that defense, once they get a game like this under their belt where they see, all right, now wait a minute, Kyler could run around, D-Hop could run around. This is really what it's about. I think the Cardinals win this game, but this is going to be one of the last blips that the Rams have on their roster. I look for this game for the Cardinals to win, and then possibly the Rams really start to get on a run. I'm picking the Cardinals. I'm picking the 2.5.
We'll see. All right,
let's get into our Ohio teams. All right, we'll start this Ohio picks off in Cincinnati. Paul Brown Stadium. There were a lot of Bengals fans that were on their way out at halftime of that game because Cincinnati was embarrassed against the Los Angeles Chargers. It was a game that a lot of people wanted to see be flexed in primetime. It was the big aspirations of seeing Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert, two of the league's top youngest quarterbacks. It was an epic failure for the Cincinnati Bengals as they kind of got handed early. They came a little bit back. You know, they made things a little bit close and interesting, but the game was really never all the way out of hand for Herbert and the boys. This week, a different challenge. They're just 1.5-point favorites against the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy G, man, what do you make of this game?
I feel as though last week with the Bengals, they just had one of those games where they didn't start fast at all, and the Chargers started super fast. And once the Chargers were up, they were just trying to play catch up. You know what I mean? So they had to keep throwing the ball. They couldn't really, you know what I'm saying, do their offense like how they usually run their offense. So they were kind of behind the ball on that, so they had to, you know, play makeup. And in the NFL, makeup is the worst thing you can do because once a team gets you out of your game, it's basically over.
It's over.
So, yeah. I feel as though the Bengals going to win this week against the Niners. Jimmy G, I don't know. Like, I feel as though they can't get the running game going too much. But what's his name? Mitchell did all right.
Yeah, he did all right. And they're still probably without Deebo Samuel for this
Hopefully
game.
Deebo will be back. Hopefully I think he's more trying to get back now. Like he's not completely out like they had him last week. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go Bengals and yeah, I'll take the little 1.5. Might as well.
I'm gonna take the Niners here. I gotta switch it up. I gotta pick some underdogs. I said last week, listen, I like the Bengals going in, but they had to win a big game. They had to win, you know, what would be like a marquee statement win for Cincinnati. And they didn't do that. They failed to do that against the Los Angeles Chargers. That's why I picked against them. I'm going to pick against them here. And the same reasoning holds is because this AFC North is a literal crapshoot right now. If Cleveland beats Baltimore, the Browns are back alive. If Cincinnati beats Minnesota, you can't write them off either. If they lose, okay, maybe you could write off Pittsburgh. But for Cincinnati, this is a game where if you legitimately want to be atop the AFC North and a firm, legitimate voice in this AFC playoff race, you got to beat the Niners. It's an NFC team. You got to do it. I don't think that they can. I think that pressure just surmounts Cincinnati for some reason. So I'm going to take the Niners, obviously covering and winning outright. Crazy to say, but I'm taking San Francisco. We'll move on to Cleveland, Ohio. Our Browns are back at First Energy Stadium. Old foe, they're back. The Baltimore Ravens. This is a pretty easy game, I think, for me to pick. The Browns are 2.5-point favorites. We saw two extremes for Cleveland. The defense balled, 4 interceptions. I don't know that you're going to get that again. That's a difficult act to follow.
It's crazy to think that you lose with 4 interceptions.
And then the offense was just anemic. They had their struggles. The Ravens, however, had a game while the Browns were resting the bye week, and they had just a serious blow to that defense. They'll be without Marlon Humphrey for this game and for the rest of the year. Vegas has given the Browns 2.5-point at home. Again, game's a virtual toss-up here.
Nah, I don't think this was going to be a toss-up because that last blow to their defense with Marlon Humphreys being out is tough. And I know they got some young guys that can play a little bit, but this is Cleveland's time to attack that secondary. And Baker need to go out there and play his most consistent game ever, throw this ball with running with Chubb, and Hunt be back there too. So it's like, run them boys and expose their secondary. Come on now. Defense play like they did. We're going to be all right.
Should be. You've just laid it out there. Solution's pretty simple. Kevin Stefanski's saying all the right things so far this week. In his press conference, said it really rejuvenated them in the bye week. They had some meetings, possibly leaked a little info to the media. Could see some Chubb and Hunt on the field at the same time for the first time really since 2019. I hope we get to see that. I think that's the recipe for success. Listen, if the Ravens want to do that, what they did, 2 weeks ago and load the box, play with 7-8 guys up there, whatever, keep running it. We literally saw a team win this past week where their quarterback threw the football 3 times. Don't abandon it. That's the strength of your team. We didn't get a chance to talk any Cavs this week. They played to the strengths of their team. I said it last week. They run out there with 3 centers at the same time. Play to your strengths, man. That's running the football. You got 2 beasts back there. Yeah. Chubb and Hunt. Mayfield could get it done with his arm, especially he should be feeling a lot healthier off a bye. Please don't let this offense look anemic again. We're both picking the Browns. Hope they get it done.
Oh, yeah.
Big game. If they win this game, we'll be having a lot more energy picking these Cleveland Browns in the coming weeks because their season will then just be heating up because you have a legitimate playoff race to follow if you beat these Baltimore Ravens. Let's hope they could do it. Let's go Browns. We hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Mr. Josh Cribbs. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sports Parlor Podcast presented by betJACK.com. Make sure to go follow betJACK on social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at betJACK. I'm Nick Pedone. He's Phil Taylor. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Sports Parlor Podcast. We'll see you then.